Don't ever say please or thank you to AI. It will ruin your results.
So check this out. Over here, we've got a prompt. Please write me a C++ class that'll manage simple JSON file parsing, solid principles, design patterns. Please. Thank you. And we have some code here. Now over here, I have the same prompt. Instead of saying please and thank you, I just say, as a seasoned principal software engineer. And that's it. You know, strictly use solid principles instead of please use. Okay, those are the only differences. I wanted to see, I'm curious, because I've heard things about asking, you know, saying please and thank you can disrupt the LLM. Now I'm using Gemini, so I want to see just how these results are different. So on the right here, this is the, as a professional principal engineer, you're gonna, I guess there's some expectations here. So you're just gonna include this JSON library, right? Because as a, you know, a principal software developer, you're kind of expected to be able to do something like this, pretty straightforward. But over here on the left, you notice there's a forward declaration just to kind of alleviate having to install one. It's just kind of a dummy one here, right? Which it's not a dummy, but it's funny how it's a little different. There's not many differences, but I did notice over here, since I did mention strategy patterns, it actually labels these interfaces as strategies, where on the left they're just a formatter. Now, sometimes I prefer naming your design patterns, sometimes I don't. Really depends on the mood I'm in, but honestly, you know, the fact that it's calling out SRP here is a little overkill. But that's kind of something that you'd want to see, I guess. First of all, there's way too many comments in both of them. I'll start with that. But the comments over here seem a little more professional, so you're gonna get away with a lot more commenting if your comments are professional and actually apply to principles, design patterns, because sometimes design patterns, you know, they kind of blend in, you know, they're hard to see. So it's kind of nice sometimes when somebody calls it out. Yeah, I'm a little torn here. Like, the principles don't really need to be called out. Like, you should just be doing that. I would never comment in my code that I'm, you know, using interface segregation principle. Obviously, you know, everything you do should have interfaces and be easy to change, just faster and easier that way, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be like that 100%. We're not going to get into the dogma of design patterns. Just kind of pointing out these two prompts and how they work together. Or I'm just kind of trying to put together how these two prompts are different. They're not vastly different. I'll say that they're a lot less different than I would have expected. But just by adding that principal software engineer, I do see a little more conformance to the rules I set, right? It's a little more clear. Let's see down here. So here we have, I'm assuming this is our main class, and he's going to take, yep. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to take our strategies. We have some sort of injection going on. I'm not going to read through it too carefully, but let's, you know, parse and process. Okay, that's a problem. I don't ever like parse and process. I would much rather see two functions, one after the other, parse, and then maybe output. I think that's a little silly. You never want the word and in your function, so I'm not a fan of that. Not a good look, Gemini. Yeah, it looks like we've got the same function over here on the left. So we just like to do all the things. I think it's just a shortcut. I said simple, but you know, in the end, that's not more simple. Then now you got two things. One of them is failing. You have to change the code in this function. Now, if you had parse and then you had process separately, you know, the parsing's failing, processing is fine, then I can just change the parse function, right? And I don't have to worry about both. Like, it's just, complexity's silly when you have ands in your function names. Anyway, let's see, there's a little more testing going on, it looks like, over here. I guess we're expected to do a little more thorough testing with the examples. Just trying to spot the differences. Kind of cool.